What's going on, guys? This is Empty Box, and today we're going to be talking about the M240 Bravo as well as my thoughts on the patch post-patch. Now that I've had a couple of hours with the patch and things have changed, and the patch actually did nothing. Oh my god, yes, I just said that right up front. But a little bit about the MG36 just because it's on screen. It's not as bad as it once was. That said, it's not the best and never was the best, but it never wasn't too terribly bad. But this guy right up here, turn around, where you going, Empty Box? This guy in the helicopter, what was he thinking? Like, what possesses a person to hop into a helicopter that is indoors in enemy territory? How did he think that was going to end? The chopper ended up in that position in the first place because a pilot was shot out of the chopper for flying like 10 feet off the ground like a moron. What did you think was going to happen when he had a roof over your head? Anyways, on to the 240 Bravo, which did get a small little buff, and is actually the reason why I tried out this gun specifically, because in terms of machine guns, there's the LSAT, there's the 240, and then there's just whatever else for me. I mean, I'm not saying that the other guns are bad, but for whatever reason, I just really like the 240 Bravo in this game. It could be because it's probably the fastest killing gun in the game. That said, I really don't think it is, because even when it was doing 30 damage and it was just basically a pile of dog crap, I still enjoyed it. Something about this gun feels right in Battlefield 3 to me, so I definitely enjoy it. But you know, with that small little buff, and that buff in this patch was a little bit of a decrease in spread while standing up, I was really excited to see what happens, because really, machine guns in this game are balanced on spread. Spread is the end-all be-all, because without it, these guns would just be insane. I mean, if you put this gun on a bipod, which you'll see several times throughout this gameplay, it's a laser beam that can zap snipers. It's like, yeah, are you sniping? Oh, hi, hi. My machine gun says hi, nice to meet you. But, you know, with that decrease, I was kind of fearful and thinking, oh, God. You know, if you've used these, you definitely know the power that they can pack. So it's kind of one of those things where DICE really needs to be careful, and you know, they've buffed the bipod significantly a couple of times now in previous patches, so it's really quite efficient, and once you get used to it, you barely even notice it until you actually need it, which is why I suggest using the bipod, plus the fact that the foregrip really doesn't do too terribly much on this particular gun, or the other machine guns in general, to be honest. So I definitely suggest the bipod, but whatever. That's a different story for a little bit later in the video. You know, I was definitely fearful. That said, I don't think this patch really made too terribly much of a difference in that regard. It feels a little bit more workable. That said, I'd still feel more comfortable with pretty much any assault rifle. And that's not to say the assault rifles are overpowered or anything, but they're just easy to use. They're user-friendly. That's what they're supposed to be, you know. So, I don't think we're going to see too terribly much more hate on the machine guns than what they already get for being 200-round bullet hoses. Anyways, in terms of the loadout, though, post-patch, it kind of changed a little bit for me. I was usually pretty much just a bipod guy. I don't really use the bipod too terribly much, but like I said, the foregrip's kind of useless, to be honest, on the machine guns. Whatever optic you want. Sometimes I use iron sights on the same, because I do like the sights on this gun, but with the way they work now, in terms of the spread being a little bit less, it's a little bit more workable on your feet. This kind of caused me to take two different loadouts that I switched depending on the map, and actually there's a third one for the lulz, but you know, the first is just the standard extended mags, bipod, good to go, good all around, nothing really too terribly spectacular. And then there's also the flash suppressor route, which reduces the muzzle jump, which is definitely killer on this gun. Is definitely one of the biggest things that you'll definitely notice on any of the medium machine guns, actually. And that's really good on maps where you're going to be standing up, you're playing a little bit more aggressively. It really changes the dynamics of the gun, if you ask me. I mean, you know, in that case right there where I just killed that guy, and this guy too who's lurking around here, you know, the spread buff probably didn't play too terribly much of an effect, but I definitely feel much more confident knowing that my gun isn't going to, you know, randomly shoot 10 degrees in either direction, and just deploy that bipod and zap that guy. Like, look at that. The bipod animation is so fast now, it's not even funny. But you know, I still stick with the bipod even with that flash suppressor, because when you need that bipod, you want that bipod, because if you put that puppy on there and you get deployed, it's just amazing. I mean, you saw me zap that guy. You've used the bipod before, I should hope, and at least understand somewhat what's going on with it. You know, like I said, you know, once you need it, it's great. I think I spent most of the time in this session of games just diving to the ground, like playing Battlefield 2, and because back in that game, that's the only way you could really use machine guns. But you know, definitely try it out. It's definitely fun. It definitely feels like a much more effective weapon, although it doesn't feel like it's changed completely into some sort of monster. It's definitely going to be one to look out for, though. Especially for you support players like me, who don't necessarily like playing support, but you play it anyways because it's there, so you should play it. But anyways, on to the patch and a little bit about that, just in general. You know, the first thing I did when this patch hit, I went up and grabbed the M16A3. I didn't feel really too terribly much change. It felt pretty much the same to me. Still pretty easy to use. They really didn't fix the thing that I think needed fixing, which was the ability to spam bullets for days, thanks to that super reload. I thought there was no perks. Why do I automatically have sleight of hand? Haha, Call of Duty reference in the Battlefield video. And then, you know, I really wasn't impressed, but it is what it is. You know, it's just really good all around. 416, I didn't notice too terribly much change. And the night before it, I played a couple of team death matches with the 416, so you know, nothing changed. The weapon balance, I don't feel like it changed at all. I still feel like the M16 is just a very good option. You know, that still has just way too good of a reload speed. And how did I team kill that guy? I'm guessing he was standing next to those gas tanks or whatever. But you know, definitely the biggest thing I noticed, though, was definitely the machine gun buff in terms of the accuracy. So give these puppies a whirl. They will not disappoint you. And I waited just a little bit too long, and some douchebag in our squad named Triple O, he totally did not have squad sprint on. Bro, bye.